I'm coming at you with this segment. Today's segment is going to be on the self-introduction. Now, self-introductions are very common. Most teachers, in one way or another, will be training their students or will likely be asked to prepare students to perform a self-introduction. Now, the concept among Japanese is very well understood. So much so that they often put more emphasis on the self-introduction activities than they do on normal two-way conversation or a situational dialogue. However, the choice of content that is often presented by the Japanese teachers is baffling, confusing, and just very, very unusual to native speakers. For example, my favorite fruit is a pear. My favorite flower is tulip. Now you notice some slight grammatical errors. That's not the big problem right here. Um, it's understood by the listener. However, we have to wonder why anyone would give a rat's behind what type of flower or what kind of fruit. We don't usually have these type of discussions as children, and why would this be a necessary part or a useful part of a self-introduction? Uh, Perhaps if you were in a specialized shop, a fruit store, you might have a conversation, whether what fruits you like, or you're at a florist and you may be making some small talk. Do you like this type of flower? Do you like dandelions? Do you like, well, you wouldn't find dandelions in a flower shop, but it should be relevant. Now, I developed a self-introduction guide, and it was an aggressive defense against being asked to create, practice, and teach students to utter nonsensical English. It was strictly a proactive defense on my part to preempt this with a well thought out framework uh, for students to perform self-introductions. If I did not do this, I was going to have to spend hours and hours with no less than 200 students listening to nearly identical self-introductions, not personalized at all, um, and students just saying nonsense. Now, self-introduction by design in any activity you do should be a continual, growing, and an expansive activity. It should be a refining tool so that students can refine their fluency. An activity should be a motivating activity. It should motivate students to improve their English and want to study more. Now, the single-page framework that I developed is nothing unusual. Um, it's it's intended to be used the entire school year. The entire school year. The very top line is the opening statement. For example, you might hear, "Hello, everyone." That's fine with me. The bottom line is a closing statement. "Thank you. Goodbye, everyone." That's fine. In between is the various type of information that they may want to produce in their self-introduction. Like I said, it's intended to be used the entire year. And many teachers misunderstand this. And they will take one class period and do it thematically. Very traditional in Japanese education, English education, is to make their lesson plans episodic and thematic, and kind of a one-shot deal. And where most of the misunderstanding is the teachers like this form They take it and say, I want to do it, and they use it in a way which I never intended it to be used. Uh, they do it by finishing it in one class. They'll they'll go from top to bottom, and they'll get to this point with no closing statement, and they'll run out of time. I mean, there's just a multitude of problems there. So what I would do if I'm teaching the class is I would give them the opening statement and the closing statement. Refine that, and then later put in the information. Very important. Step 1, step 2. Step 3 as you have time. Well, actually step 2. So first of all, when students have completed their opening, closing remarks, you can refine their eye contact. You can refine their volume of their voice, their gestures, if that applies. The next step is to add the information as it's desired, as it correlates to the curriculum that has been assigned. You know, they may be using a textbook. For example, they might have done a thematic unit on numbers, and after refining their language or their patterns, they might be ready to add information in their self-introduction, like my telephone number is, I am 35 kilograms in weight, I am 150 centimeters tall. So the language selected in the self-intro, of course, is one way. Now that might seem like common sense to native speakers, but many teachers get it all mixed up, and they try to make a conversation. They'll have the students standing up doing this, and I think this is a big mistake. I do have a two-way conversation activity using basically the same patterns, the question and answer patterns, and this is a game. The students perform the conversations in class. They go around and they collect their friends' signatures, kind of like a walking bingo type of activity, or a walking around activity. But this is a two-way conversation for a different day. And we call this kind of a sandwich game. So this is totally different than the self-introduction. However, what remains constant is that both a natural conversation and a one-way speech or self-introduction has a clear opening and a clear closing, which is very important for the students. The idea is you do want to motivate students to speak better. And, you know, we also have the same problems when we do the two-way conversation. We have teachers creating dialogues, ending conversations not with goodbye or see you later, but ending conversations with thank you very much. And I think that that is a mistake. So I think that students do need to know what a conversation is and what a self-introduction is, and know how to speak. Okay, well, this has been presented by Kebunsha and Old Larry Geigo, and we hope that you enjoy this and can use it in your class. Good luck, everyone.